Hi, welcome to Framework for Success. I am Michelle Egbert. Welcome to the channel. I have a few videos out there already on this channel. The first one was an introduction video telling a little bit about my background and my experience and why I created Framework for Success, which is really a four-pillar framework. It's purpose, priorities, processes, and your people. Another video I put out there was called Freeing Your Mind, a technique I use to stay in the moment to avoid less distractions as you're trying to do deep work. The last video that I did is the start of that first pillar, the pillar of your purpose. I talk about alignment and what it means to be out of alignment and those key signs to know when you are out of alignment. I shared a story about myself at a time when my purpose got sidetracked and therefore my priorities were no longer supporting my purpose. So if you haven't had a chance, go back and check out those videos. But today we're going to continue forward in helping you create your framework for success and go down that next little layer in that first pillar of your purpose. Today, we're going to talk about passion versus purpose, why it's important to understand the interaction between the two and actually how they are different. Because the difference between passion and purpose is more important than most people realize, and how they interact with one another is also very important. Because when you build your life and your business based on purpose alone, certain things can happen. I've experienced it with myself, and I've also seen it in others as I've coached them through their businesses. You feel a little scattered, you feel distracted. When you start something based on your passion, you may not follow through when your passion wanes. So, how do they interact, your passion and your purpose? Well, that is the reason why I'm doing this video. Because when your passion and your purpose interact with one another, amazing things can happen. So, as we move forward in this video, I do want to start with actual definitions, the definition of passion, as well as the definition of purpose. In most of my videos, I will give you some definitions, and these definitions I think are important because as we move forward, you understand where I am coming from. You don't have to agree with my definitions. You can look at those and say, I've heard something a little bit different, but my definitions are based on my life experiences, the experiences I've had with others, as well as the research that I have done. I've modified those, adapted them to be my own, and you need to do the same. So as you listen to these videos, if there's something that feels a little bit like that resonates with me, I'm going to run with that. Or there's a few things that I've seen different. It's really up to you. I am really just a data point along that roadmap for you. So take what you need, adapt and adjust for yourself. So we're going to start first with the definition of passion. So let's talk about passion. Passion is more of that internal feeling, that fuel that drives your energy and your enjoyment. Now, passion can ebb and flow and can change frequently. Now, passion is generally feeling oriented. It's what you love to do. It can look like creative work, learning new things, building new things. And really, passion answers the question, what makes me feel alive and what do I enjoy? So now let's take a look at purpose. So when we talk about purpose, purpose is a little deeper, a little more stable than your passion. Tends to be more long term and can be that north star in decision making. It's really more about what do I want to contribute, what impact do I want to make, and those values that guide your decisions. It really answers the question of why you do what you do. So now that we have some basic definitions around passion and purpose, the questions become is can they contribute to one another? Is one better than the other? So the answer really is yes, they can contribute, they can integrate with one another. One is not necessarily better than the other, but they can fuel each other. So let me explain. So since your passion is feel oriented, what you love to do, or your purpose is more reasoning oriented, why you do it, when they're integrated, you will have more fulfillment and you will see better results. So, as we move forward, I want to share with you a story in a time in my life when I didn't really understand the integration between passion and purpose and what I discovered along the way. There was a time in my life when I wanted to be a healthier, more vibrant version of myself. There was a passion inside me that was fueling it to be more healthy, more vibrant, but also to challenge myself in ways that I hadn't challenged myself before. So that passion was that energy, that fueling to be healthier and be more vibrant. But then it went into something a little more deeper. It was more craving for a transformation. So several years ago, I started to pursue obstacle course racing. Now, that had been a passion of mine for a very long time. But the one thing that stopped me from doing obstacle course racing was my fear of heights. As I watched videos of people competing in obstacle course racing, I was like, oh boy, that is really high. I don't know that I could do that. Well, it got to a point in my life where heights was actually becoming debilitating for me. My fear of heights was really stopping me from participating in family vacations and outings. And I was losing that connection because of that debilitating fear that I had. So, as I researched obstacle course racing, I discovered Spartan races. And Spartan races, I started to pursue a little bit more for two reasons. One is there was a local place here, not too far away, that had old obstacle races, the obstacles from the Spartan races that I could train on. And the other is Spartan races gave me an opportunity to have an out. If I didn't want to do the obstacle that day, or it felt a little overwhelming, because every time you did a race, they changed it just slightly. So even though I trained, that may not be the exact obstacle that I would see at the race. You could do 30 burpees. And if you don't know what a burpee is where you're in standing in upright position, you jump up and go right down into a push-up, and then you actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. When you do a burpee, you're in upright position, you drop down into a push-up, and when you come up, you jump up with your hands above your head, and your feet have to get off the ground for it to really count, and then you go right back down into another push-up, and you continue that 30 times. So as I pursued obstacle course racing through Spartan races, there were times where I felt so confident, I was passionate. I had gotten up early mornings, I had the drive to do this. But when I actually showed up for my first race, I didn't know what I was going to experience. And there were definitely some obstacles that I trained on that I was not comfortable with. So I would start, I'm like, nope, not going to do that. I'd go over and do my burpees. Over time, that passion continued to fuel me getting healthier. I was starting to see that I was being more a vibrant version of myself. I was starting to overcome my fear on certain obstacles. I was able to go a little higher, a little stronger. But the purpose of transformation, of really making that transformation, is what kept me going, is that transformation wasn't complete yet. So I actually raced Spartan races for about 3 years. And after about a year and a half to almost 2 years, I started racing in my age group. And the age group were more competitive. So if you wanted to podium or be in the running for to podium in the top three spaces, you had to do your burpees. Well, I always did them before. I really didn't avoid those because that was part for me. That was part of the rules. I'm a kind of a rules person and I wanted to do them. It may have taken me longer to complete the race, but I did them. So when I started racing in age group, is more not because I wanted to be so competitive and be on the podium, is that when you got into age group, you could start first. Because when you were in the open class, sometimes it would take a long time to get through the race because there were so many people. So when I started racing in age group, I got very good at burpees because there were two obstacles in particular that were a little frightening to me to do. There were certain A-frames where you could see through the actual course, the frame itself, and that's where the height scared me the most. But I felt so comfortable because I knew that I could go over and do my burpees if I needed to. So during my time doing Spartan races, it started with passion and it was fueled with that passion, but that purpose is really what kept me going. That became my North Star because I really wanted that transformation. So as I reflected on this story, as I was preparing this video for you, I really wrote down throughout this journey of mine through Spartan races what my passion was and really the purpose that was fulfilled. So let me get to that. I wrote it down for you guys. So as I started, my passion is I wanted to be a healthier, more vibrant version of myself, as I had explained. I wanted to challenge myself in ways that I hadn't challenged myself before. And I did love the idea of obstacle course racing. And I was energized by the training and as I was getting better and pushing limits with myself. So the passion is what got me to sign up, and the passion is what kept me going. But where purpose really came in is I wanted to be someone who would overcome my fears. I didn't want my fear to overwhelm me and be debilitating for me. I wanted to prove myself that the fear would no longer control me. And I wanted to transform myself in a way where I was stronger, I was more capable, and I was more disciplined as a person. And so the purpose is really who I became through the process. It was really that transformation that happened. So I learned a lot through doing Spartan races, I learned a lot as I reflect on this story between passion and purpose. So, really, to live a good life, you have to find passion in your purpose, but also your purpose in your passion. And when you embody both of those qualities, you'll spend more time and energy on those things that matter most to you. So, it's really not about passion versus purpose or passion and just purpose. It's more about passion and purpose. Because when those are integrated, as I've kind of just described to you, great things can happen. Amazing things can happen in your life. So as we move forward in these videos and I share with you, helping you create your framework for success, I want to make sure that you are living boldly, you live fully, and you lead with purpose. So we will see you next time.